elephant in the room, I guess.
What people want to know.
Yeah, I guess you guys have hung on long enough. So at the end of the race, me and Ross got into it. Basically, here's the thing, right? Is that I got to the end of the race. I saw he was on the outside of me. I went into turn one with the mindset that I'm going to try to get the best finish that I can get. I'm on 2 tires, and I go into turn one. And while I even went shallow on speed, my car plowed. I mean, what it means is I turned the wheel and the front tires just were going straight. And they were calling the one car on the outside. So at that point, I knew that I was screwed. I was about to go backwards. I had all the 4-tire cars on my ass. They were going to pass me, or more than likely in the next corner. If they didn't, I mean, I know I had 2 fresh tire cars underneath of me anyway. I was 4 wide. And I'm like, I'm going straight to the back.
Because he's around you, he's going to get a better run. You're in the middle.
And so at that point, I know that I'm going to my crew chief told me there was 18 cars on the lead lap. And at that point, I said, all right, well, I'm probably live looking at a picture. I'm probably running 6th or 7th. I'm about to get passed by everybody behind me who's on fresh tires. I'm about to finish in the mid-teens. And I said, you're coming with me, buddy.
Really?
I did.
Wow, that's not what I thought.
It wasn't a mistake. No, it wasn't a mistake.
Okay.
I let the wheel go, and I said, he's coming with me. And so, it's been interesting because I hear people say, well, this is for last year, this is for this, for that. It's not. I got wrecked at the Clash. I don't know that Ross sees it that way. I think he's still curious about what I thought about the Clash. I don't know why he would wonder what I thought about the Clash. But, I've said for a while, well, you got to do something to get these guys' attention, whatever, and I've said it, and I think that Ross doesn't like it when I speak his name in the media and when I had this microphone. But I told him, well, I have a microphone, and I'm going to call it like I see it. And until you get a microphone, you can then say whatever you want about me. But the fact is while I'm sitting here talking, I'm going to call things the way I see it. And sometimes I'm going to have to call myself out, which I'm the dumbass who lost just as many spots as he did. But at the time, I said, well, I'm going to finish anyway, and I'm just going to make sure that he finishes right here with me. So it's difficult because, at times, people want me to react right away, but I don't want to involve any other cars. I told you guys, privately, my friends, it's difficult to be in a position where you can get back at a person and not involve an innocent bystander. It's really hard to do, because then you've got other people pissed at you because you're doing something that affected their race when they had nothing to do with it. And I never wanted to do that, right? The Pocono, unfortunately, someone got caught up in that when Ross bounced back off the wall. But here, I saw that we were the only people up top, so I said I'm going to send them in the fence and door them. Now, my dumb ass, got caught up in it because I got pinned. He was between me and the wall, and then so I got all screwed up, and then I lost a bunch of positions for my team, which was stupid as shit. But at the time, I'm like, I'm going to finish in the mid-teens anyway, because my car's just plowing here. I'm about to get ate up by all these new tires. I just was like, if I'm going to, give this guy a hard time, this is going to be then. And then, so he bounced off the wall. So my ideal situation was I was going to kind of just knock him into the fence a little bit, and I was going to keep going.
So you were going to finish 14th, 15th.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Somewhere in there. I mean, it's hard to assume anything, but I thought so. But he actually got the jumpy downshifted quicker, and then he brake checked me a few times. You saw that from the inboard down the backstretch. He hit the brakes a couple times, and I wasn't letting off at all. It didn't matter to me. So And then, after the brake checks, then I went into the next corner and tried. I'll be honest with you, the motherfucker is hard to spin. I mean, when he knows it's coming, he is the hardest guy to wreck on the planet. But I just, I wanted to get back to racing, honestly, with him. And I think that that's a lot of the conversation that we had afterwards.
I was going to say, what was the conversation after race? Because it was...
Well, the conversation...
It was a long conversation.
He came up to me, and he says, I guess I deserved it. And I said, yeah, I think so. I'm not going to sit here on this podcast and ever lie to you guys and say, well, this is an accident when it's not. It wasn't an accident. I meant to put him in the fence, but I didn't mean to screw my team in the process, which maybe I should get the DBC. What an idiot for costing my own team, 10 spots more than likely. But at the time when you're seeing red, that's all that really matters, right? Is I saw an opportunity to not involve anyone else. I was about to go to the back, and I wanted to take him with me. So we talked, and I think that we are in a better place where I think we're willing to put the past behind us, and I think that we're going to judge each other from this point forward. And I think that's the fairest way to do it. As far as this season is concerned, he got me, and while it didn't cost him, it did cost me at the Clash. It cost both of us here, but that's my execution, right? So that's not his fault. So I just think that we need to just race each other with better respect from this point forward, and that's what I hope to get out of this. And he asked for a truce, I asked for a truce, and let's just see how it goes from here. There's no promises, but also if you can, I just said, Chastain, I really need to get some respect. Clearly, you don't respect me for whatever reason, right? And people have a right to not respect me. Maybe I've done them wrong in the past in something I'm not aware of. But tell me what it is, and maybe I can give you an explanation, or I can say, you know what, that's my fault, and I need to do better. I was in the conversation practically begging him to just take accountability for the past. I had to kind of push him into taking that accountability, but I think that I heard what I wanted to hear, and now I'm ready to move on. And hopefully he's ready to move on, and we're going to race each other hard but clean in the future. And now we're going to move on from this.
So in a few weeks when we're at Martinsville and Ross is leading and you're on his bumper with 2 to go, what happens then?
I'm going to race him just like I would anybody else. I mean, going for a win. Now, again, it's hard for me to say as I'm looking at a picture of me spinning Chase Elliott out right above your head. That's not my MO. I did it once. That was not on purpose either, by the way. I just flat out made a mistake. I drove in, he checked up super early, and I just got into his bumper and I didn't let go. I thought I would just slide him up the racetrack. Instead, it was too much. It was an invulnerable spot, and he spun out. That's not on him. That's on me. That was my fault. Even in my post-race with Chase, I took accountability. He says, of course, he didn't make the corner. Had his back wheels up off the ground, right? But we all make mistakes, and we all can do better. I just feel like, I'm not afraid to take accountability, and a lot of people will show times in the last 18 years where I didn't. Of course, there were times where I didn't, but from this point on, I'm going to try to be accountable for myself. I made a dumb mistake for my team, messing them up this weekend, not getting the finish we deserve. But again, I just want to restart. Let's restart. Let's go racing and move on. But if it comes down to the end of the race, I won't treat him any differently than I would any other competitor when going for a win. But it is never, ever going to be my intention to take someone out for a win. I just think that takes absolutely no skill whatsoever. I hate it when we get to these short tracks and these young kids saying, well, I'm going for the win. Well, that win meant just as much to the guy that you wrecked that it did you. So, you're just being a selfish ass at that point. So,
well, I was kind of hoping that it was going to, all this Ross beef was going to end. Logitech was going to send us a third mic. We were going to set up right here. He would come in and y'all would end it here on the show live.
It's interesting because, for the people that don't know from last year, like we went to breakfast after the Gateway incident. He invited me, hey, I'd like to meet you in person versus over the phone. Let's talk about this. And I got to really know his upbringing and why he races the way he races versus the way I race, because I find it very interesting. Like, we all get brought up very different ways and we start in different series, and he's got a very interesting story that I think he should tell to the people of, I would love, he needs to come on and tell the people his story, because I found it actually very interesting and it made a lot of sense to me why he's as aggressive as he is. They always said, that you don't get your values out of thin air, right? You get your values from your parents and the people that you surround yourself around as a kid and when you're getting brought up. And it was very apparent to me that, he got pushed around a little bit, and the people that he was racing with in the early series, that's what they did to get wins. They just knocked each other out of the way and spun each other. And that's what he saw. And that just kind of kept going. So, he's got a great story, and hopefully he'll tell it one day. But
well, there you go, Ross. If you're listening, you want to come on. We need to fill this space right here. So Logitech will send us a third mic. You can sit right here. If you don't want to talk to Denny,
are you formally inviting him to be our first guest?
Yeah, I am.
Are you sure we're ready for guests?
Well, we just need the third mic, but yeah, I think we're ready.
Well, we haven't had guests so far because we're trying to get our wheels under us here, but. I would welcome Ross for a conversation for sure, and that'd be great. But hopefully let's move on from it. We're gonna go racing in Atlanta this weekend.